You are now tuning into the Resilient Podcast. Enjoy the show.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Resilient Podcast. This is episode 50, and I'm your host, Rob Aurelius. As I mentioned a few seconds ago, this is episode 50, and it's a special episode. When I started this podcast, I didn't know where the journey would take me. I didn't know who would listen, who would care, or how much of my story I would end up sharing with the world. But what I did know was that I needed a place to speak honestly, a place where conversations about resilience, healing, growing, heartbreak, and purpose could exist without filters. And now, here we are, 50 episodes later. And today, I want to talk about what actually took to get here. A lot. So let's talk about the beginning. If you've been listening to this podcast for a while, then you know that this platform wasn't built out of comfort. It was actually built out of pain. It came from a time in my life when I was dealing with heartbreak, loss, uncertainty, and trying to rebuild myself, emotionally and mentally. There were moments where I didn't have answers, moments where I felt lost. But instead of staying silent, I decided to start speaking. And I think it's actually the best thing I've ever did was to start speaking. And that's how the Resilient Podcast was born. This podcast became more than just a show. It became a reflection of my healing process. Every conversation, every episode, every guest, they all represent a chapter of that journey. Now let's talk about the hard parts. What people don't always see is what happens behind the scenes. The late nights editing, the self-doubt, the moments where you wonder if anyone is even listening. The emotional toll of telling your story over and over again, because I know in these 50 episodes, I have told my story over and over again. And I know that sometimes people will say, hey, I heard that already. I heard that before. But, I have to continue to tell the story because a lot of people, of course, as they're joining in, there's people that started listening to the podcast as of last year. There's people that started listening to the podcast as of the beginning of this year. I just had 3 new subscribers last week. So the truth is, resilience isn't glamorous. It's messy. It's uncomfortable. It's confronting your past, your mistakes, your heartbreak, and your fears, and choosing to grow from them. And sometimes that growth happens very slowly. Sometimes painfully slowly, but it still happens. One of the hard parts is that when I started this podcast with a co-host, Josh Lopez. Josh only lasted 2 episodes, episode 1 and episode 2. After that, Josh reached out to me and told me, listen, man, I'm going through some personal stuff. I won't be able to actually continue. And that was mainly because he was going through a lot of transitions. He was trying to move from Chicago to Orlando, which he now lives in. And also, he was dealing with his own battles and having his issues with his own podcast, the Hoots podcast. I want to say about a month ago, Josh recorded his last episode, episode 500, and now he's moved on to other things. So initially, when Josh dropped out of the podcast and I saw myself without a co-host, I felt terrible. And I said, do I want to continue doing this podcast? But thankfully, he told me himself to continue. People told me to continue. My best friend, Estefania, told me to continue. Don't stop your story just because people are leaving. Your story continues. You said you wanted to finish your story. Finish your story. Don't let anybody finish your story for you, and don't let anybody from stopping you from finishing your story and telling your story. So let's talk about the lessons. Over these 50 episodes, I've learned a lot of things. I've learned that resilience isn't about pretending everything is okay. It's about acknowledging when things are not okay and choosing to keep going anyway. I've learned that vulnerability is not weakness, it's strength. And I've learned that we share our stories honestly. We give other people permission to face their own battles. That's the real purpose of this podcast. Not perfection, but connection. So we've talked about the lessons, we talked about the hard parts, we talked about the beginning. And before I move any further, it is episode 50. So I wanted to take this time, like I always do, to thank the people that have made this possible. I want to thank Josh for putting the battery pack on me and helping me move forward to get here. Because remember, the name of this episode is, how we got here. And I have to be thankful and I have to acknowledge that this would have not been possible if it wasn't for people like Josh. So Josh, thank you for your guidance. Thank you for your wisdom. Thank you for your friendship. We recently reconnected again, and I'm thankful for that. And I look forward to what you have coming in your new journey. I have to thank, of course, Diego Serrano, because from the very beginning, before this resilience story started, Diego was already there. So I have to thank Diego because for the Resilient Project, Diego spent about 2 years of just filming, traveling with me to different places, Providence, Philadelphia, Connecticut, Atlanta. We went to so many places together, so many places. And, Diego did all of this sometimes sick, sometimes exhausted, mentally burnt out, mentally tired, everything, the whole 9 yards. And he helped me finalize everything. He was there from the beginning of the project to the very end, to the last scene of the project. And it wasn't easy for him just as much as it wasn't easy for me, but he remained strong. He remained resilient. And I got to thank him for that. You always have to thank the people that are there with you, because I don't believe in self-success. I believe that success comes from who's around you, the circle that you're around, the people that you keep in your life, those that are there for you, the resources. So you always have to give a lot of thanks. And that's why I have this hat from John Cena that talks about hustle, loyalty, and respect, because I hustle, I'm very loyal, and have a lot of respect for people. And Diego and Josh are two of the people that I respect the most. I also got to give a special thanks to Oscar. Oscar is the man behind the editing. Every episode that you've seen on YouTube is edited by Oscar. Even the ones that you hear on Spotify and all the other streaming platforms that you hear, the MP3 version, that's all edited by Oscar. Oscar's all the way out in Texas. So, sometimes it's not the easiest to communicate with him, but, he's been working with me for the last 13 years now. And in 2 months from now, actually 3 months from now, ARCG Media, my digital agency, is actually turning 13 years. So I got to be thankful to him for the 13 years of loyalty and the 13 years of respect. I also got to take a moment to thank Maddie Rock. Maddie was on one of our episodes last year, and Maddie has been very, very instrumental in everything that I've done. He's helped me with guidance. He's helped me find resilience, and he supported me along the journey. He's even been very supportive when it came to the documentary, The Resilience Project, which, by the way, comes out later this month. And I'm so excited to share it with all of you. But I also got to thank my friend Estefania. She's been very, very, very positive about everything. She's literally been there from the beginning. She knew why I started this story. She's still around. She's still there. And, I have to mention the fact that throughout this journey, there has been people that joined when I started the Resilient Podcast that are no longer part of the journey. I've mentioned this before in past episodes. There's been people that joined and said, hey, Rob, I have a story. This is what happened to me. This is my story of resilience. And somewhere down the line, they stopped communicating with me. They moved on. I've had people that were on this podcast as guests that I've never spoken to ever since. And, if we sit here and question why people do the things they do and why people act the way they act, you're never going to be able to figure it out. This is why you have to allow people to do whatever it is that they want. Because at the end of the day, people are going to do what's best for them. And that may not make sense to you, but it's going to make sense to them. Or sometimes it doesn't even make sense to them and they still just do it. But that's just how people are. My advice is just keep going. Keep moving forward. Make sure that you worry about you. Make sure that you're good. Forget about everything else. Forget about everybody else. Be a little selfish sometimes. I will be the first person that will tell you, don't be selfish because it's not a good thing to do. But I've learned that in life you have to be selfish because only you are going to take care of yourself the best. Only you are going to make sure that what you need to do for yourself gets done. My name is Rob. So when it comes to me, my happiness comes from me, my inner happiness. How I feel and what I do and what I want in life all comes from me. You're going to have supporters. You're going to have people that don't support you. You're going to have people that motivate you, people that don't motivate you. All of that is cool. And it's a factor into everything. But it's not going to be ultimately, when it comes down to the final decision of what you want to do. So what's important is always make sure that you are taking care of you and your priorities because it's nobody else's responsibilities. It's your life. You should have nobody doing what's your job. So I want to thank a few more people. Of course, the list is very long. I want to thank James because James was one of the people that helped me tell this story for the Resilience Project documentary. And like I said, I can't wait for you guys to check it out when it comes out March 21st. But, James also went through a lot of rough patches. Like he dealt a lot with his health. He dealt a lot with personal problems, a lot of issues. And he still showed up. He still did what he needed to do for me. And I'm forever thankful for that. I want to thank everybody else that has been part of this journey. Those that are still there, those that are no longer here. I thank you as well, too, if you ever watch this episode, because honestly, everything that happened is what allowed me to get here. So I want to take this moment to have a Terramana toast to all of that, to everyone that I mentioned, to everything that has transpired, the good, the bad, the ugly, because that's just the way it is. So, to resilience. And now that we're on that subject, Terramana is all about gratitude. Gratitude is very important. So I want to talk about gratitude. And I just talked about that. So I'm going to talk about it again. Because there are people who have supported this journey from the very beginning. And it's not just the people that I mentioned. It's also the listeners, the guests, the friends that I talk to all the time. Whenever I'm ready to shoot a new episode, we go out for a drink or dinner or whatever the case may be, or we go out to a certain festivity and they'll talk to me about the podcast. How's the podcast doing? How's the documentary? How's this? How's that? How's resilience? So, people who believed in the message of resilience, even when the platform was still small, thank you very much. I appreciate you from the bottom of my heart. And to everyone who has tuned in, shared an episode, or supported this podcast in any way, thank you. I appreciate you from the bottom of my heart, because your part of this is also, like, your contribution is also part of the Resilience podcast. So your part of this story too is very special to me. Thank you. Now, I want to move on a little bit, and I want to talk about looking ahead. 50 episodes is a milestone, but it's not the destination. It's just a chapter. Because the truth is, resilience doesn't stop. Life keeps teaching us lessons. New stories are waiting to be told. New conversations need to happen. And this podcast will continue to evolve just like I have. So folks, we're going to go on a little break. But before we do, I want to give a shout out to one of my sponsors, Nala Health, the best holistic medicine in the world. And if you click on this link right here on the screen and visit their website, you receive 10% off of your order by using the code TRP10, which is right here on the screen in front of you. Click on this link, check out their website. They got great products, CBD, products for anxiety, insomnia, addiction, inflammation, especially now with, the season changing, right? Like right now, we're transitioning from winter heading to the spring. Allergies are activated. So I like to take a lot of the inflammation because it helps a lot, clear out the sinuses and everything else. And as allergy season approaches, it really helps. So every single time that you visit their website, nalahealth.com, and you use the code TRP10, always get 10% off using my code. So check out their website today and enjoy. And again, thank me later because I'm pretty sure you're going to be very satisfied with these products. So we'll be right back. We're going to take a quick break and we'll continue this episode then. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to episode 50 of the Resilient Podcast. As you see right in front of me, there's parts that are part of the journey, part of the resilience. Like I showed you guys in the 1-year anniversary of the Resilient Podcast last year, I showed you the soundboard. I showed you the microphone that I use for every episode that you guys have seen me using this on all my virtual episodes. My headphones, the 5-year memory journal, my Andre the Giant statue, which to me is always important because Andre was larger than life. Andre was the 8th wonder of the world. And that's how I describe myself. Andre was a giant, but he had a gentle heart. And I feel like I'm a very, very big personality, but very gentle heart. And of course, here I have the inspiring quotes, which was a gift that I got from James 2 Christmases ago. And I use these on the episodes. And on today's cards of James, I would like to share with you all. This is the card that I'm choosing for today. Life is the best gift, as you can see right here. Life is the best gift. And the reason why I say that, and the reason why I believe in that is because people don't realize how beautiful life is. Not everybody is promised life. How many babies are born every single day? And maybe a few seconds after being born, their life is cut short. So all they got the chance to was just to come into the world, probably cry, and then that's it. I'm going to be 40 years old in May. I'm thankful for that. I'm thankful because throughout all the years of all the pain and everything that I've been through, the lessons, I've always asked, man, how am I going to make it to the next step? How am I going to make it to the next level? And the truth is, you can't give up. You should never give up because life is precious. A lot of people will literally sit there and tell you every day how much they hate their life, how much life sucks for them, how much they wish life was better. But folks, take a moment right now to think about everything that's going on around the world. There's countries that are being bombed. There's countries that are facing poverty every single day. There's people that wake up and don't know that today is their last day. There's people that woke up this morning with plans for tonight that probably won't make it. Or there's people that woke up today with a birthday coming up or plans to do something tomorrow, do something next week, and they probably won't be able to make it. So when we are actually able to wake up, start our day, get home safe, have dinner, shower, whatever the case may be, lay in bed, go to sleep, it's a blessing. It's beautiful. And to wake up the next day, it's more of a blessing. And you know, my brother has always said that any day above ground is a blessing. And I believe it's true. So we have to make every moment count. Life is not meant to be perfect. It's just the way it is. That's just the way it's always been. Life is not meant to be perfect. So we're going to have good days. We're going to have bad days. We're going to have some days better than others. We're going to have some days that are terrible. We're going to have days where we feel that life is coming to an end. But we have to make the best of it, always. And out of all the gifts that we could get in life, the most important gift, the best gift that we could ever receive, even aside from love, is life itself. Because not that many people can say they live their life. Not that many people are going to be able to tell a story about life. And it's very important to love yourself. It's very important to love one another. It's very important to give back. And most of all, it's very important to share the love that you have inside with the rest of the world, because right now, the world could use a lot more love. And my heart goes out to everyone that is affected right now by things that are going around the world. All these moments that are happening, all these things that are happening, I don't condone any of it. I don't condone violence. I don't believe in wars, taking care of things now for a better future. I just wish that we lived in a world where there's no war. I'm all about peace. I love peace. Why not? My life has already been chaotic enough. I went through a very chaotic childhood. I went through a very chaotic young adulthood. Now that I'm entering 40 years of age in the next month and a half, all I want is peace. And I don't just want peace for myself. I want peace for everybody. I want peace for my friends. I want peace for the people that I love. I want peace for people that I don't even know. I want peace for my family, for everybody else, because life is too short. And that's why I say that it's a gift, because it is very short. We're not here for long. Some of us are here for maybe 100 years, and some of us are here for 50 years, or maybe less, 20 years, 30 years. But we have to make every moment count. We have to make sure that we are resilient, because believe it or not, resilience is something that is going to be a part of life no matter what. So, folks, once again, I want to thank you all for tuning into 50 episodes of the Resilient Podcast. My next episode, episode 51, is going to be just as special as well, too, because we're going to have a special guest on the podcast, someone who I've known for a long time, someone who's actually started their own podcast as well, too. And this person has a similar story to tell like mine, and I'm so thankful and grateful that they're going to be able to share their story on the Resilient Podcast. I also want to give another shout out, like I mentioned before, to Maddie Rock. Maddie Rock mainly because Maddie's got the best coffee on the market right now. And if you click on the link right here in front of the screen, this coffee is the best coffee for all you coffee drinkers, especially now that, spring is coming. A lot of people are going to be wanting to drink their cold brew or their iced coffee. It's the best coffee. Click on this link, go on their website. When you purchase the coffee, if you use the code TRP10, you will gain 10% off of your purchase just for listening to the Resilient Podcast. So how beautiful is that? Before I go, I want to talk about the Resilience Project. This is a documentary that I put everything into. Everything. My love, my passion, my time. And so did Diego as well. So I'm looking forward to this documentary for everybody to see just a little bit of what happened from 2024 till the end of 2025. I'm not going to give away any spoilers. I'm not going to tell people what is on there because I want you guys to be able to enjoy it. But I promise you that it's going to be a beautiful story that you all can relate to. It's going to probably bring you back. If it triggers anyone, I apologize in advance. But I do want to let you all know that even though this story talks about pain and it talks about facing so many challenges, I do promise that the ending will be nothing but a positive note for anyone out there that may be suffering, that may be going through something. This is 50 episodes of the Resilient Podcast. I never thought we would get this far with all the stuff that was happening. So now I look forward to the next 50. And it's crazy because one day I'm most likely going to be sitting here, actually, and looking at the camera again and telling you guys, welcome to episode 100. We're here for episode 50. We're here talking about what it took to get here, right? So I look forward to the next episode and the episode after that. At some point, maybe in this year, 2026, we'll get to episode 75. And here's the crazy part, that at some point next year, 2027, we will be having 100 episodes of the Resilient Podcast. And it's such a big milestone, and I look forward to it. So, folks, I want to thank you all for tuning in to this special episode of the Resilient Podcast. And if there's anything I hope you can take away from this episode, it's this. Whatever you're going through, you're stronger than you think. Your story isn't over. And resilience is something we build day by day. And I want you to always remember that. So with that being said, thank you all for tuning in today to the 50th episode of the Resilient Podcast. I thank you all from the bottom of my heart. And I want you to remember that life is beautiful and that you love yourself every single day, because every single day you need to love yourself a little more than you did the day before. And you will go far in life. Remember, everything starts within you. This is episode 50. Thank you all for being part of this journey. And as always, I am your guest, Aurelius. Thank you for tuning in. I'll see you all in the next episode. And always remember to always remain resilient. Always. I'll see you all in the next episode. Peace.